Hi, everyone, and welcome to another powerful conversation with yet another powerful woman. I'm really delighted to have Adelina joining us today. We've just been having a chat before I press record, and we've already been having quite a few giggles. So I'm pretty confident this is going to be a fun one. Thank you, Adelina, for joining me today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thanks for having me, Claire. I run a company called The Geek Whisperer, and who I am, I have no idea sometimes myself. I know who I am is that someone who never quite fitted in anywhere, to be honest.
Okay, yeah.
But that's probably who I am, someone who doesn't quite fit in anywhere and doesn't really abide by the rules that most people seem to abide by, and I'm always left outside.
Yeah. I love that answer because these days, probably because quite a lot of the personal development work I've been doing, if somebody says, well, who are you? Just to be really annoying, I just want to say, well, I'm me. Obviously. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
I'm me, not even just, I am me.
Yeah.
And all those labels and that we can put on ourselves. I think one of the things that we thought we might talk about was the labels that people put on themselves. Any thoughts to get us started on that?
Yeah, well, actually, one of the things I wanted to say is that, I wonder when people ask you, who are you? I think they just want a story, an elevator pitch of your life. And I always find elevator pitches quite fake. In fact, I did elevator pitches 10 years ago as part of my business. And I never wanted them to be fake, this kind of canned rubbish thing that you tell someone because you want something out of it and you have an agenda. And this is why, when you asked me, who are you? I was thinking, well, what's my elevator pitch this morning? And I thought, well, my elevator pitch is that actually I'm someone who never quite fits in anywhere. I'm known as being weird by all of my friends and contacts, quite frankly. But yeah, I know labels. I mean, I think I was telling you when we first started chatting that in 2012, just a few months after I started my business, this lady from, she was actually British, but she lived in Amsterdam, messaged me and said she'd love to talk to me. And I was okay. And she said, I'm fat like you, I'm overweight like you, and I don't know how you do it. How do you have the courage to get in front of all these people? Because I was running a business, making pitches for investment. And I was going and helping people, make pitches for investment and making presentations internally in corporations. And I was like, that thought had never even crossed my mind that I'm too fat to run a business when I go on stage. And I was just like, so interested how she saw that label that I just hadn't seen, because I was born with a metabolic issue. So I was being fat since I was born. I've never been a normal size, whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, so do I hear in that somebody saying that to you doesn't even kind of offend you?
No, not really, because I've been told my entire life that I'm fat and frankly unattractive. So that kind of became, well, that's who I am. So what? I do have an amazing fiance that finds me attractive, so I don't really need other people to. So, it's kind of like, when she said that, I thought, should I feel insecure about this? And then I decided, no, I shouldn't. That's why I said I don't really fit in with some of the, for example, when I was growing up, obviously I grew up in the 90s. When I was growing up, all these teenage girl magazines were aimed at normal-sized girls. In fact, my family really struggled to buy clothes for me because I was probably size 18 when I was 12, and because I never saw myself in those girls, the makeup, the insecurities, all of that madness that seems to be peddled in these magazines just never applied to me.
Yeah.
So I never put makeup on, for example. Someone wanted to try it once on me, and I felt I looked like a pig with lipstick on. So I just thought, no, thank you very much. This feels fake. I don't know who this person is in the mirror, but it's not me. And if society says that's how I have to live, I don't want to live like that. Again, like I said to you, I just don't fit in the box.
Yeah. I mean, I find it really, really fascinating because for me, I find it horrific that somebody would say to you, "Well, I'm fat like you, and therefore I am the same as you." I find that really uncomfortable.
Interesting.
But I also at the same time find it utterly inspirational that you're able to be true to yourself.
Thank you. I mean, to be honest, I have my own insecurities. Don't get me wrong. You know, like it doesn't mean that it didn't affect me in any way, but I just kind of grew and realized that I'm limited only by my own beliefs, actually.
Yeah.
You know, so one of the things that, you know, like you said that you would feel uncomfortable, and, you know, a lot of people would be horrified by this. But if you think about it, if someone says something that we believe to be true about ourselves as well, like, and it's not a good thing, like, for example, you know, I'm fat and unattractive, or I'm this, I'm that, you know, negative things, I'm stupid, I'm rubbish at being organized, whatever it is that we all kind of worry about. People don't find me attractive, I don't have credibility at work, I don't have credibility with my family, whatever it is. Because I work with, you know, a lot of people who struggle to have credibility at work, for example. And and this is men and women, by the way, not just men, not just women. And what I realized is that if I react negatively to someone saying you're fat or you're stupid or whatever it is, then I know that I believe that myself deep down, and I almost feel exposed that, hang on, how did they find out? And it's like your worst nightmare coming to fruition.
Yeah.
But in my mind, so this is what I realized when someone said something to me about me. I mean, other than the fat thing, which is, you know, a lifelong story, but I think someone said something to me that I was stupid. And when they said that, like, my entire life, although my family, you know, always told me that I was fat, and, you know, I might never find a partner because I'm fat, because I was born fat. They did say to me that I was very, very smart. Now, I don't know if they did that to counterbalance the fatness, as you were, or if they actually genuinely saw smartness there. And I don't really care, because I believed that I was extremely, extremely smart. Yeah. Therefore, if someone says I'm stupid, I would just laugh, because they'd be like, you really don't know me, do you?
Yeah.
You know, and then therefore I look for plenty of evidence that shows me that I'm smart. And also there's lots of evidence that I'm fat, you know, empirical evidence, as in, you know, you measure the size of my bum or whatever, and it is fat by, you know, normal standards, whatever normal means. And that's what I realized, that if I have this, but that implies having self-awareness. You know, if you realize your own limitations, the way you put yourself down, that's when I think that's one of the things that I think helps you be in control of what you let people insult you with, essentially. I can say a lot about this, but, you know, I want to let you because you know, it's otherwise can become a monologue. But
I mean, I think what I take from that, and what I see a lot with the people that I speak to, is that we're so caught up in the beliefs we hold about ourselves that we're I might have said this when we spoke before about, we walk around being blind and numb to the world around us and the things people say, because we're so caught up in what we believe to be true. It's inconceivable that belief could not be true. So to have the level of self-awareness that you have, and your ability to counterbalance what people say with facts and evidence, I mean, that's something that some people never even achieve in a lifetime.
And I mean, I think that it's often hard to get self-awareness. I mean, if you think about it, nobody teaches it in school.
No.
Nobody teaches you at work. If you're very lucky and you get a coach through work or your own means or whatever, and that coach has self-awareness, like you and I clearly do. And by the way, I don't have full self-awareness either. I have, I still have lots of things that I need to discover about myself. But learning self-awareness, I often found the way I learned it is from other people who are self-aware around me. That's the best way, because you see how they self-analyze. Like, for example, when someone insults them and says you're stupid, they don't just react and go, well, you're stupid too, or whatever. Oh, but you're an idiot because you messed up X, Y, and Z, or whatever. They just look at themselves and go, why did I get upset that he or she said I was stupid?
Yeah.
And they self-analyze and try and figure out the trail of thought that they had. You mentioned earlier that we're caught up in our beliefs, but most people don't even know what beliefs they have about themselves.
No.
We only realize the beliefs we have about ourselves in interaction with other people, especially uncomfortable interactions, because those uncomfortable interactions are a sign to you have this belief about yourself. You believe this is true. This is why you're offended by it.
Yeah. And it's such a journey as well, like you were saying. I mean, this isn't something that we can suddenly say, okay, well, I've uncovered all my beliefs now, and I've uncovered all of the things that have conditioned for me to be the way I am today. It is the more you learn about yourself, the more you realize there is to know. But I love that as a journey. I almost look forward to feeling the discomfort, because I know the discomfort will push me further into understanding myself. But I think lots of people don't have it's just not in their awareness that they could go on that journey, because they're stuck in an autopilot of thoughts and emotions, and it's just very difficult to break that cycle.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, let's say someone says to someone else, you're stupid, and they're hearing this very conversation right here, they'd be going, I should feel offended by that. What are you talking about that I shouldn't be offended? And I'm going, no, that person saying you're stupid, that person is rude, but that is their problem. They have their own issues and self-doubts and limitations and worldviews that cause them to be like that. What matters is, how do you feel when that person has stopped talking? Because the stories you tell yourself, and that was, I think it was Jack Canfield. I saw him, I don't know, 16 years ago. He said something about the story, what I tell myself, the moment that he or she has stopped talking after insulting me, that is what truly matters, and how that makes me feel. And changing that story that I tell myself is what actually matters. And yes, that person was rude for saying that, but what matters is the impact on you. If it didn't have any impact on you, at the end of the day, there was just a rude person on the street. What's new? But if you take that and you don't apply for that job because you now feel insecure because this person told you you're stupid, if you take that and you don't tell this person you maybe really fancy that you'd like to go on a date because you feel really stupid and insecure about yourself. So if you limit your life beliefs and your actions, then that's why it matters, and you need to look at it and analyze it.
Yeah.
And I think, you said that a lot of people don't even realize that they can kind of confront this uncomfortableness. I think we've been taught, especially, when parents try to make us comfortable all the time, if we're lucky enough to have good parents. But if you think about it, we live life avoiding uncomfortableness, avoiding confrontation. People don't even have the knowledge of healthy conflict, which actually without it, you can't grow. You can't just be in agreement with everybody all the time. And that is a really big problem, I think, in general, because you can't grow if you don't go through uncomfortable times and uncomfortable things. And that is, to me, uncomfortableness and going through uncomfortable, challenging situations means you just have to be a little bit brave to just see what happens next if you just inquire and challenge yourself and look, how do I feel when this person calls me stupid? Why do I feel like that? What story am I telling myself? and you might discover renewed energy for yourself and love for yourself. That's what I discovered when I was leaning into the negative feedback.
Yeah. I think one of the other things I've heard that reminds me when you're talking is if one person tells you you're stupid, then potentially it's like, well, that's just their opinion. If a whole room of people are telling you that you're stupid, that's probably an indication that you need to have a really good look at yourself and explore it in a bit more detail. And the Shirzad Shamin that founded Positive Intelligence that I teach and offer to clients, that's an experience that he had when he realized, he's showing up and being cocky and self-righteous and whatever words it was, and the whole room said, well, yeah, actually that's how I find you, and everything's like, okay. And that was a huge light bulb moment for him. So, but yeah, I think there's some real wisdom in all of that.
And it's the thing that if you keep running away from that, you're running away from a potentially amazing development. So for example, a few times people said to me that I came across as unforgiving. And I thought, that's really interesting, because I think I'm a really nice person. And then what I realized is that obviously, because I'm clearly somewhere on the spectrum, I am quite black and white. So if someone makes is rude, especially if someone, I have a big problem if people are rude, like in the sense of trespassing some sort of boundaries, or having no consideration of others. That really gets my blood boiling. So I can become extremely ruthless and unforgiving in those situations. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. I've had 2 people telling me I'm unforgiving. I thought I need to explore that. So I did ask my friends, and I said, tell me how I'm unforgiving. I didn't say, do you think I'm unforgiving? Because it could be, oh no, come on, Adelina, you're lovely. Oh, pat me on the back, tell my ego it's all fine, which is the thing that we all like to do. Yeah. And some people said, well, you can be a bit harsh. If things don't, if you feel things are unfair, or not just unfair, but inconsiderate, people who are being horribly inconsiderate, if there's some sort of injustice going on. I mean, there's a reason why I worked in human rights, and I wanted to be a human rights lawyer for a long time. You will be quite ruthless about it and tackle it head on with no consideration for the emotions of the person who's done that. And I go, well, they're inconsiderate. I feel like I can be inconsiderate. But what I discovered is instead of being bam, I'm the judge and the executioner, and you're the idiot who's just been inconsiderate to everybody else. Instead, I try to become curious about why they're inconsiderate. And I discovered that they just simply have zero awareness of themselves and other people. And I tried to explain politely. And I did lots of social experiments, believe it or not. I know this sounds super crazy. So what I would do is go to random people, especially men, at petrol stations who are blocking, by parking randomly or just parking badly, right? And I went to various and I tested it out in lots of different ways. And I saw the pattern of reactions, because that's how I learn. I have to test it out. So I just go to men who are like, builders and tough guys that most people would be like, oh, I don't want to talk to these guys. And I'd kind of knock on their window, wheel the window down, and I'd be like, you park really inconsiderately, move. Oh, really aggressive kind of reaction. So then I tried that differently. I went, I would say to people, excuse me, can I just check, do you think you're going to be long here? Just the reason I'm asking is this person, who's blocked by you at the moment, and would it be possible to move it? Just say, oh yeah, sorry, okay, yeah, let's do it, And I just thought, okay, so when you start with the impact on other people, and by the way, let's say that works 8 out of 10 times. What I discovered, there are some people who, even when you tell them about the impact on other people, still can't give a rat's. Yeah. And those are the people to whom I will ultimately be ruthless, if that makes sense. Instead of treating everybody with the tough ruthlessness kind of aggressive, kind of like you are being wrong here and you're doing the wrong thing. So does that make any sense?
Total sense. I really admire your bravery to conduct such an experiment. I think that's fascinating. It's so fascinating. And it kind of, I trained a couple of years ago to be a workplace mediator. And so, how do you, I've always all my life run away from conflict. So one of my challenges, how do I lean into conflict in a way that, comes from a more gentle, positive place rather than ignoring it. Ignoring it is not good. But yeah, I mean, that you seem to have a natural instinct for how you would do that. And there's this great model in mediation where it's called the bin model. The behaviors, underneath the behaviors of the impact, and underneath the impact of the needs. So the person that still doesn't respond to you when they've had their behaviour and the impact pointed out to them, then that their need is one of the rudimentary needs probably of that they need to feel power, or I don't know. So that's really interesting.
So here's the thing: if as a society we were to challenge those people, everybody was to challenge those people more often, they wouldn't do it. Because it would be it's uncomfortable for them. Believe me, it's uncomfortable for them as well when I did it. And I still do it. It's just that it depends on, I look at, is this a battle worth winning? So I'm not as black and white as I used to be, but all of it started from this unforgiving feedback that I had. I mean, this is, kind of a decade ago. But I learn by experimenting. I don't learn from books. I really struggle to read, actually. And it's shocking because most of my customers think I read a lot. And I actually really, really struggle to read. And I learn by listening or by experimenting directly myself. So, everything that I teach, the people that I work with, they know from me how to do stuff because I have experienced it and I've done it myself in lots of different ways to learn how things best work. And for me, that's the only way to learn. I can't. This is why even when I run a course, it's 100% based on real, situations that the audience has, not my own agenda. Oh, here's my PowerPoint with stuff I think you should learn. And I think that's the best way to teach people anything.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that most people learn better through experience, whether they're prepared to admit it or not. Because if I look at, for example, I teach mindfulness, and if I say to somebody, okay, well, one of the attitudes that you should bring to mindfulness is non-judgment. Well, anybody can understand from the words non-judgment what non-judgment means. And you can kind of conceptually get how it applies in this situation or that situation. But until you start practicing it in the moment and noticing all the times you are judging, there won't be any growth. You can't grow just from reading a book. You've got to experience it, because that's how the neuroplasticity of your brain works. The more you experience it and the more you put it into action, the more it becomes new behavior. So I actually think that everybody benefits from experience, not just reading. Reading is like the first superficial level.
Yes, it's like the first, when you paint the room, it's the first brush. It's the
exactly.
It doesn't give the color necessarily; it just gives the little background, the little context almost. I mean, it's interesting that most courses, I mean, this is one of the reasons I started my business, to be honest, because I loved learning lots of things. So I went to all of the soft skills courses that my boss was allowed me to book when I was employed donkeys years ago. And I just found them 90% theory and 10% practice if I was lucky. And I thought, that's such rubbish. I'm never going to learn anything. I just learn lots of theories. And I used to think I could be back at my desk doing real work. And this is why I started when I started doing training in-house, first of all, my course names were really unusual. So we're like, instead of influencing and communication skills courses, my course was called Unappreciated for Being Honest, How to Tell Them They're Wrong.
Love it.
I had 3,000 engineers signed up to that on the waiting list. Another one we have live now, actually, on Maven, on the platform, learning platform, is called something like Managers Never Listen to Me. How to get managers to approve your ideas. It's just all of my courses don't have boring titles like, influencing and communication skills. They just have titles like the ones you heard, or when both engineers are right, who is more right? As a manager, as a leader. This is basically coaching skills, actually. But it's boring. If I call it coaching skills, engineers go, what the hell is that? That doesn't sound right. I'm not going to attend that. But also, I don't actually label them coaching skills. I label, when we're working, I label them, well, how do you get the best out of two engineers when you're managing them? It's about the reality of life rather than some abstract concept. And what I find sad is that we seem to, and especially in L&D environments, we seem to buy into these labels, coming back to the theme of the day, and these concepts like, coaching and smart objectives and all of these kind of frameworks, Belbin, MBTI, all of these things. But actually, how do they apply in real life? That's what people care about. And I suppose that's why I like working with engineers, because I think in the same way, things that have to be practical and realistic.
It reminds me of my daughter's doing her GCSEs this year, and she asked her maths teacher what the practical application of vectors was, because she wants to understand, like, well, if you're going to teach this to me, but how is it going to be relevant in the real world? He couldn't. He's like, well, you won't really ever need to use it. And then she's like, well, why am I learning it? Yeah. And I just think that that's brilliant that she has the confidence.
Good girl.
At 15 to say, well, what is the value in learning this? So it's just like, it just reminded me of that story.
And here's the shocking thing: vectors do apply in engineering and design. However, education is so removed from the reality of work that they don't even know why they're teaching the stuff they're teaching these days. I mean, it's just crazy. Again, back to labels. Oh, I have a GCSE and X, Y, and Z. I have an A level and X, Y, and Z. And I got A's and A stars and A pluses and A amazing. But can you do anything? Do you have the can-do attitude an employer needs?
Yes.
Do you have the healthy conflict attitude that a manager needs?
Yes.
There's no leadership in that. There's no communication skills in that. There's no real life experience in that.
No.
And then people have a rude awakening when they go to work and they realize, okay, not everything is rosy, and I have to produce something of value.
Yeah.
And I tell you what's fascinating to me. There's a lot of, so one of the things I do is when engineering companies are engineering led, what that means is research and development led, which is basically abstract research, kind of blue sky thinking. Let's create something for the sake of creating something new, rather than how is this going to sell, at what price point, who's going to buy it, how can you scale it, how can we sell lots of it, what's the profit margin, all of that. And when a company transitions from this geeky engineering mindset to an engineer-led mindset to a commercially led company, the amount of resistance these companies get internally from engineers is amazing. And it's because they're scared, because they don't know, well, this is a new way of working, this is not what I was expecting. And it's like taking a teacher and asking him or her to apply vectors in real world. No idea.
No, exactly. I suppose that's kind of then comes down to the benefits of having diversity of thought and experience and etc. on a team, because that's where great things happen, isn't it? When you get collaboration, not competition, and new ideas and new ways of doing things are born from that.
But in order to have collaboration and healthy conflict and all of these good things, people need to feel trust and rapport. And this is another area where nobody teaches them. How do you build trust with others? I know it sounds like a basic thing, but actually it's a real problem. Everything has become so abstract in school. The activities, I think, that they do around school or outside school are what teaches them these skills. And some teachers, some innovative teachers, like for example Andrea Joyce, amazing innovative person that takes her students outside of that kind of strict environment. Often they don't learn these skills that are absolutely crucial in life in general and at work.
So I'm conscious that we've been speaking for half an hour, and I know that we could talk for quite a long time. Would you like to just say a little bit about how you help people, or how people can get in touch with you if they want to, have this conversation, see how you could help them, etc.?
Sure. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you look at Adelina Chalmers on LinkedIn, I'm right there, and I usually respond to messages quicker there. My website is also geekwhisperer.co.uk. So if anybody can see my contact details there. But I love having insightful conversations like these, and thank you for inviting me, Claire.
It's been a complete joy and a wonderful way to start my working day. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.